Devils. Saturday, this is the Will Report here live at TJ Ryan's across the street from Prudential Center at 35 Edison Place as we're doing the pregame podcast titled Royal Flush, the Packed House. I have my buddy here, Rob, big Devils fan, as we're waiting for Pete, the organist, to make an appearance in this wonderful chair. Again, the title of the podcast is Royal Flush, all powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio on the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network. You can find us on Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube Live, and Twitch. Just Google us, Let's Go Devils Podcast. So, Rob, last Thursday night, after, losing the game before, Devils go into Philadelphia, unexpectedly crushed them, 5-0. Matt Black with a shutout, building the momentum. Tonight's matchup against the Kings, also a bad team. Same lineup. What did you see in that last game? How did they put it all together to win 5-0?
Well, the way I look at it is, I mean, in just an ungodly fashion to the Montreal Canadiens. And with that negative cherry on top of Kovalchuk getting the shootout winner, I mean, the fans were apoplectic about that because it really brought back those memories of earlier in the season of giving up these leads, which in this case was 3-0. So I would chalk up the victory over Philadelphia as a major reaction to that. I imagine Nasruddin probably really read them the riot act. At least I hope he did. Larry Robinson back in playoff lore. I do think it was a basic bounce back, but also a reaction to some unforgivable play against Montreal.
Well, everybody talks about tanking. There's no such thing as tanking, especially right now. There's a lottery, drawing who really gets first overall. But what we do know is that all these players, coaches included, what happened to John Hines, what happened to Ray Shero, they're all fighting for their jobs right now. Right. So I don't believe that they're tanking. They're trying to they're playing for next year. They're playing for pride. But what we want to see as fans, and give me your opinion, we want to see them at least show us something, after that debacle.
Right.
What do you think about Mac Black? Again, not going to Louis Domingue. Mac Black starting tonight.
I mean, Mackenzie Blackwood is he's a starter. He's a starting goaltender, and he has the potential to be one of the top goaltenders in this league. Now, you need a defense in front of you to properly defend and coordinate. And that's where I see some of the issues where, players like Damon Severson, who, while he has all the tools, and I'm rooting for him every year, seems to make bad decisions that are really head scratchers. Will Butcher certainly has the head for the game. His vision is second to none on the blue line, yet I see him get out-muscled, and his skating ability in today's league that it puts a premium on speed, I think there's some issues there. So, do I say blow up the defense, which a lot of people are calling for? Not necessarily, because, you have Subban here. I think he will improve dramatically after this initial Ric Flair type stuff that happened in the beginning. I do think the Devils have to sign Vatanen. They have to. The only other choice is trading him, and if you can't get a first rounder, then I don't know what you do. But you have to. He is a great defender. Then of course you have Connor Carrick, Nico Mueller. And that's where Ty Smith will come in next year. I do think they should probably go out and get another defender. It could be a Torrey Krug. Or Pietrangelo, guys like that, because I think you need at least two replacements.
Well, let's talk about what we were talking before. We started the podcast. You were looking at the Arizona Coyotes in the standings.
Right.
Tell me what you're seeing. What are you rooting for? what would a Devils fan root for in any scenario? Them getting a lottery pick, or do they have to fall down in the standings? Right now they're teetering on that wild card spot. What would be the best scenario for the New Jersey Devils, considering they have their first pick?
Yeah, I mean, this trade was constructed in a way that it's now no easy answer. It's kind of math, right? And then you throw in the lottery. So scenario one where Arizona doesn't make it. Okay, then a Devil fan hopes that they do so. They fall in the standings to the point where, and maybe even jump up in the lottery standings, but obviously not up to the top 3 because that's protected. So yeah, I mean, there obviously the math would say the best case scenario is that that pick ends up being number 4, right?
Yep.
So the other way is obviously they just make the playoffs, win a first round, because that other pick, that next year's pick, which is right now slated as a 3rd, if they win that first round, the way I remember it is that then becomes a 2nd, and then of course if they re-sign Taylor Hall, it becomes a 1st. Now I just don't think that's going to happen. I think there's too many question marks with Arizona for Taylor Hall's group or his representatives to feel comfortable with him signing long term. So I think them making the playoffs, the Arizona Coyotes, making the playoffs. I mean, I think the second round overall, getting a second round pick is the best case scenario. So it's hard to call. I mean, part of me wants to get a better first, but
I mean, it is a deep draft.
Yes.
Coming up.
Yes.
We're actually going to go to Montreal this year for the draft. You got the Devils' first pick. You got Arizona's first pick. The best case scenario, and the odds are not very good, but the best case scenario, can you imagine if the Devils get 1 with their first overall 2 years in a row, which is almost impossible, and then the 4th overall pick? We can only hope and dream. Mm-hmm. But it is a deep draft, and what's nice is whoever's the GM, whether it's Tom Fitzgerald or they decide to get anybody, he's going to have 2 first-round draft picks that are probably in the top half, 15 and above.
And don't forget that, again, the Devils will be sellers at the trade deadline. So players like Simmons and other people, I mean, and you could even argue some younger guys like Wood, get moved, and those will bring second rounders and things like that, which later could arguably be packaged together to move up in the draft if they really are keying on certain defensemen, or getting a defenseman from that other team, a bona fide like I discussed before. I mean, the Krug and the Pietrangelo are more UFAs for next year, but you could pry, just like Scherer pried away Vatanen, you could see that too.
Now, were you here for Tuesday night when Montreal came into town? Or?
I was indeed.
So, what were your thoughts of the whole Kovalchuk thing? I mean, they're still booing. Devils fans are still booing.
Yeah.
It's been a while since that. He left early retirement. Were you booing in the crowd or no?
I mean, yeah. I mean, part of it was just having fun. But I guess my issue with the Kovalchuk thing is more. I just think it goes against certain code. You break a con. I don't like that. But also, the Devils really positioned their team around him. I mean, you remember we got him. We signed him this contract. Parisi was still possibly resigning. That was our future. And then of course Parisi goes. Look. You now read about his father and what happened there. You can understand that. I mean, but Kovalchuk leaving. Okay, so we get rid of a contract, but people have to remember how much we gave up to get him. Yeah, we gave up many assets and also draft picks. So. I find that difficult, but I hear what you're saying. At the same time, move on.
Yeah, it's always fun to boo. I mean, it's kind of like bring your own booze that night, BYOB, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's always fun. And someone asked me, "What are you guys going to do?" I was like, "What do you want me to do? Bring batteries or whatever?" Of course. I mean, it's been a while, but then again, sometimes it's kind of like the Rangers suck and the whistle, even though I had nothing. You're not playing the Rangers. It's still fun to do. You're bored. But you know what?
There was just something. I think there's something. Like, let's compare it to, say, Tavares leaving the Islanders. Now, I understand booing because it kind of felt strung along and blah, blah. But Kovalchuk, he bought in. He signed this contract. I mean, it's like a big, huge commitment, and then just to leave.
Yeah.
That's a different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to know what were the circumstances, because at that time the Devils were bankrupt. the ownership, right? You had the Sochi Games in Russia. Was Gary Bettman going to stop the players from going to the Olympics in his homeland?
And don't forget,
Russia?
SKA is basically Vladimir Putin's team. So
Yeah.
he has to be playing for the man.
Yeah. So, I mean, there could have been some circumstance. Who knows?
Yeah.
Only Kovalchuk would know.
Nevertheless,
I mean, he did
unseemly to
spend,
me.
what, $20 million in Alpine, New Jersey to build his mansion that he never lived in.
Yep.
And now it's up for sale, so it could be. And
but yeah, you're right. It's time to move on. I mean, Kovalchuk's making $700,000 as opposed to what we were going to pay him. So
yeah, but you know what? It was kind of painful with that. The Devils gave up that game. They had a 3-0 lead. 3-0. And it's like, same old Devils. And then they could have had it in overtime. They could have done it in the shootout, which the opening of Kovalchuk to score that.
I mean, I'm always a little amazed too. Like, I mean, these are professionals, right? We're not talking about a high school team giving up a 3-goal lead, which you can understand.
Yeah.
Now, they're all beings. What are you going to do? But there's I just do. I feel when you see teams stop skating and be panicky, I always have to question what's going on there. I mean, these are guys that have been around the block. A lot of them. I mean, you take a Jack Hughes, who's a kid. All right, fine, but even I don't know. It just seemed like they need to be a little more that typical cliche, play a full 60 minutes, and they just simply didn't do it that way. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you know what? This is how do they react? They go into Philadelphia, 5-0. Now
bottle that.
but we've seen this before.
Right.
Okay, they react. Can they maintain that consistency?
Right.
Because I saw an article out. I forgot who wrote it, and it was this game showed what the Devils can really do.
I saw that. Right.
Yeah, and it's the consistency that's not there. It hasn't been there all season long. The expectations going into the season, you're up 4-0 opening night, and then they go to Buffalo the next. Yeah. Latest stinker, and
there's another. Look, I mean, these are young men. They're they're human. Have this trade deadline coming up. I mean, no one is untouchable. I mean, yes, Jack Hughes and Nico and these guys, but it's like, generally speaking, no one's untouchable except for a select few.
Do you think Blake Coleman is untouchable?
He should not be traded. Oh my God, Blake Coleman is a player that plays 60 minutes. Yes, he could take an untimely penalty here and there, but you know what? His style of play is such that you got to be disruptive to a bit, and he is probably the hardest worker on that team.
Yep.
So you know what? And he's pretty young still.
You can build a nucleus around players.
Please don't trade him.
Like
we need more players like him.
Yes. And Casey Combs, right? Please don't trade Coleman. With the player. Please don't do it. And I don't think the Devils would. I mean, you could get a lot back for Coleman, but you know what? You're going to give up a lot. He's young, he's talented, and he's a north-south player.
I offhand, I think he has another year on his contract. I'm not sure where that stands, but I mean, any player though, like getting back to the Tavares or Parisi situations, or more obviously Taylor Hall. When you have a player that's in contract here and it seems pretty clear they're going to test the waters, I mean, I think you got to deal them.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll give Taylor Hall this. At least he made it pretty obvious. He didn't dilly-dally like it sounded like Tavares did.
But now I just got a text message from Pete. He's coming over. So we're going to still talk and let Pete slide in. But Palmieri, Palmieri. I've seen trade rumors.
Yep.
I like Palmieri, but is he just? Do you think they should trade Palmieri? I mean,
no,
I don't think so either.
Palmieri,
I mean, you'll get a lot, but I mean,
next year, I assume Andy Green, unless he re-signs for really cheap, but I think he's either going to be a trade deadline person for a team that needs that mobile defenseman. I think he will not be on the roster next year. I think the C should go to Palmieri. I think he should be the captain. That's all I have to say about that.
But Nico Heischer's really, barring, some of the injuries,
Yeah,
he's been
he will
playing.
be. He will be. Or what about Jack? I mean, it's but Nico will be coming in what people thought he could be, which is another Pavel Datsyuk. He really is.
Yeah.
I mean, and to see that develop, and the fact that he signed that deal, I'm very happy about that. But yeah, he's consistently and it's what I've read and also observed too is how when Hall left, how that changed everything. He took the reins and really is performing very well.
Casey Combs writes on the Facebook Live feed, Palmieri has passion, which is great.
Yep.
I mean, you need those type of players. It goes beyond numbers. In the day of age of analytics and contracts and salary cap, and I'll ask you because you're the contract guy.
I wish I had those contracts.
Yeah. But how much cap space is there going to be available?
A lot.
Because Taylor Hall's off. Now, you were thinking in the beginning of the season, if the Devils re-signed Hall, it's not you're going to take a $13 million cap hit if it ever gets that much. Right. There's already $7 million already on the books. Yeah, it's really just an extra $6 million. At the time, it looked like, wow, the Devils are in great position.
They're going to have an immense amount because, like you pointed out, there's no Taylor Hall. I do think Andy Green's going to be off the books. That's 5.
Yep.
I think he's 6. I think Simmons is off. That's 5.
Yep.
That's 11. And so I that's why the Vatanen thing is a must. And so now what are bad contracts? Obviously, Travis Zajac. Right, Travis Zajac is, I like the guy, good player, he's been in there forever, but it's a bad contract. It just is.
Yeah.
And then you have,
and he's got a no trade.
Right.
Yeah, and he could say no.
He had a time where he was going to be looked like he was going to be good. Now he's turned into basically, as they say in Boston, a Babby Carpenter.
Come on, Pete. Pete Canarossi, the esteemed organist, is here. This is Rob. This is Pete. Here's your headset. Pete, thank you for coming on to the podcast. Yep. Can you hear us? We got a little feedback. Why don't you turn that thing off, Rick? Yep. Good?
Yeah. Oh, there I am.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep. So, Pete.
Hello.
How you doing?
How are you?
Good.
It's been a while since
I know. How do you like the new spot, the front of the bar?
It's cool. It's closer to the beer.
Yeah. That's why we did.
What beer do you want to order for you?
No, I'm good. I got to go play the anthem. I better not be drinking a beer now.
So we were talking contracts before. We were kind of stalling before you here, but we're talking about Kovalchuk coming back, the last time that was home game. But how loud were the boos from your vantage point when you're doing the...
Every time he touched it, it was drowning out. The crowd was really into it. Yeah. It was really nice to see that, yeah.
Now, is that something that you want to... we were talking about it. It's like you're kind of bored. It's something to do, but when are Devils fans going to get over the whole Koval?
I don't know. It's just kind of the thing to do.
It's just what we do, right?
It's, it's a fun thing to do. It's letting him know that what we thought of him. So, I thought it was okay.
Well, you know what? This is something we always do, and I'll just play this, if you know this tune.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. we do that, and we're not even playing the Rangers. So sometimes what I love about hockey, there's no logic behind anything. Everything is superstition. We do certain things, and anytime you try to rationalize it, you realize there's nothing to rationalize. It's just the way it is. And maybe that's what Kovalchuk is going to be, from now on. Is anytime he, has the puck, we boo. Even if he wins the Nobel Peace Prize. Although, he does something humanitarian or he donates $10 million to charity in New Jersey, we'll still boo him anyway. Yeah. Just like how we booed Gary Bettman relentlessly in NHL draft or at the All-Stars. Anytime Gary Bettman goes up there, everyone like, boo!
You still hear like smidgens of boos for Parisi, and that should be long kind of over.
Yeah.
And then for him to score the winning goal, that kind of hurt though.
Yeah. And the shush.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, let's look at the positive. They go into Philadelphia, enemy territory. Philadelphia is, in position for a playoff spot if they keep up the momentum. Going there, 5-0.
Man, I was at the viewing party Thursday night at the Italian Village.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was a lot of fun. We had our DJ there. And when we got to 5-0, I told him, I said, if the Oregon was here, I'd be playing Hawaii 5-0.
Where was the viewing party? What town?
It was in Caldwell at the Italian Village.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Calandra's Italian Village.
Gotcha. See, free plug for... Keep sponsoring the Devils. We don't get money out of it, but we are promoting the Devils. But yeah, keep on plugging it.
Yeah, they did a great job. The NJ Devil was there. Our DJ was there.
Oh, wow.
A lot of my friends were there. He was great.
Oh, cool. Well, you were talking about that too, right? Somewhere in Jersey City.
No, it was in Hoboken.
Oh, Hoboken.
Oh, that was the.
It's right on the same block as Texas, Arizona. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, is it? It's not Hudson Street, is it? The 14th, maybe something like that.
It was definitely right near the train station.
Right.
Anyway, they had a Mr. Devil showed up, and it was great.
And they're having another event called Sweep the Deck, but that's here at the Prudential Center.
Yeah, I can't take out a second mortgage to attend that event.
Oh, come on, Sam. This guy's loaded, I heard, man.
I wish. Yeah, $10,000 just to sit with the owner. I was like, wow.
And like those guys need the money.
Yeah. But I did see some of the curling that Ken Danico and Erica Walker was doing.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Travis Zajak's supposed to be the master of that. When they went to where, I guess he's from like Winnipeg or something.
Gotcha. Also, I lose a train of thought here. It's so loud. Why don't you take over, Rob?
Oh, well. No, let's talk more about the organ playing. I mean, I always thought one thing. If there's one critique I have of the NHL and their policies is that, and I understand they want to keep the crowd sort of calm, but anytime there's a stoppage, or almost every time, they pound in the music, right? Mm-hmm. And I would much rather have it sort of a hybrid of more organ, and and I think because of things like the English Premier League really gaining such popularity here, that I think that the fans, whether it's the the pop in, whatever, it will evolve from things like that to actual, I think, club songs and fun things.
I
and the organ
completely agree with Rob. What you want is a hint of the organ in the background and the crowd to be a little bit louder, because at times it's overpowering some of the music the DJ plays. I like the music. It's just sometimes it's overpowering where you kind of want to hear the crowd. The excitement,
but the crowd and the organ could be a symbiotic relation. Like I know, again, if you watch the English Premier League, they make up these songs. Like you mentioned, why are people doing this or that? It's just kind of weird. Well, watch the English Premier League or any of these leagues, and they're singing whatever, and so fans love that. It's personal to their club, and then of course you bring the organ in to play to get them going to do those songs. I think that would be really a fun thing.
What do you think, Pete?
Well, there's a lot of thought that goes into our game production. Everything is scripted. It takes a week to put together one game script.
Yeah, okay.
And there's a lot of people involved in making the decisions for that.
Right.
And they have to look at the whole picture. They have to look at, there's some people who want what you guys talked about, but there's also the younger fans. There's also the older fans. There's a middle
parents and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. So they try, they're trying to satisfy everybody.
Right.
And you can't please all of the people all the time. So I think they do a pretty good job mixing it up, Well, there's a guy that directs the game that calls me. He tells the DJ when to play. He tells me when to play.
Okay.
And that's his job. And he does a really good job. Plays the room, whatever the crowd's doing. Even when we do the Take On Me song, and everybody sings along. And then, they stop the music, but the DJ keeps playing the track.
Yes.
And then they stop playing, and he pushes the fader up, and they continue. And that is a really cool thing.
Yeah, that is cool. And I'm glad that the Devils picked it up on, I think it was the 80s night or retro night when they first did that, and they just went on and on and on and on, or even a Journey.
Well, that's what I really like with the organ is where they would pick songs of say the 80s or even like a Metallica song or something, and you're playing it on the organ. I'm like, that is great.
I like doing that.
That's really, as a fan, I really notice that. It gets my attention.
Well, Pete, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, it was good to see Pete.
Take care. All right. Let's go Devils.
Let's go Devils.
All right.
Thanks, Pete. That's Pete Canarossi stopping by, doing his sprint here to PJ Ryan's at 35 Edison Place.
He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, super nice guy. Looking at his phone, he's like, shoot, I gotta go. So,
Yeah.
But we let him go.
Nah, but it seemed like a real genuine.
We also
nice
wanted to give a shout out to Rebecca Morse, Metropolitan Riveters. She's an all-star up in Boston. The
Nice.
NWHL All-Star Game is this weekend. We want to give her a shout out. Big Devils fan from Westfield, and now playing professional women's hockey in the All-Star Game.
I'll tell you, it seems I've been watching this. I've been a Devil fan since the beginning, and I'll tell you, the New Jersey hockey, programs or whatever they're doing. I mean, if you look in the NHL, you're just more and more Jersey people, and then the women it's been incredible.
If you ever go to South Mountain Arena or is it Cody Arena, whatever,
right,
or you go to any kind of practice, there was one day I walked into Seton Hall Prep's practice, and I'm watching their drills. Compared to what it was 25 years ago, it's night and day. These kids can skate. They've got a skill level, stick handling, vision on the ice. They're running these drills. They're not running it one at a time. They've got 10 different things going on at once. The game has definitely grown. The skill level has definitely grown, especially in New Jersey.
Well, even the high schools have gotten on board. I mean, even when I was still there, I was Chatham Borough and Chatham Township. In the township, somehow, their hockey team was able to use their gym credits whenever they took the gym. They had ice time. So they had ice time like every day. So that's really what it comes down to, is that availability.
Yeah.
And apparently that's been changing a lot. So
yeah, it's great. So kudos to high school hockey in New Jersey. Kudos to Rebecca Morse going to the All-Star Game, the NWHL. Fantastic. And I know some people are up there. David Decker, one of our biggest fans, wish he was here right now. He actually sells Toyotas. If you want to ever buy a Toyota, buy it through David Decker.
All right.
And contact me if you ever want to buy a Toyota, because I only buy from that guy if I was buying a Toyota.
Where's he located, his dealership?
I think in Ledgewood, New Jersey.
Edgewood or Ledgewood?
Ledgewood.
Okay.
Ledgewood, yeah.
Right.
Ledgewood, New Jersey. And Matt Junio says hello, one of our biggest fans as well in the Facebook Live. But we're here at PJ Ryan's pre-gaming. How you doing, Wimpy? Hey, Wimpy, do you want to come on? You want to come on to the podcast? You want to come on to the podcast, Wimpy?
Focused on the race.
Oh, he's actually focused on the NASCAR race.
I was looking at the TV, so I'm like, if that's on, I'm coming in. If not, I'm going in the race.
The NASCAR race.
Oh, okay.
Turn to the left and drive fast.
Oh, you can stand here and watch the NASCAR as we're having our pregame podcast.
Absolutely. That's perfect.
See, you never know who you bump into. PJ Ryan's at 35 Edison Place across the street from the Prudential Center. But we're going to probably just...
Let me ask you this, Sam. Who do you, come the trade deadline, who do you think should stay, and who do you think should be moved?
I hate to say it. You can get a lot out of Kyle Palmieri. I don't want to see him go because I love the charity work he does here.
Boston would let go of a first in this draft coming up?
I wouldn't give up Palmieri unless it was something good,
right? Like
really good. I'm talking first round
and a player.
And a player back. Maybe some cash.
Cash.
Not that this ownership needs cash.
Harris and Blitzer do not need cash.
Yeah, they don't need cash. But how about, it just sounds good. You know, cash consideration.
That was back in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, Lou Lamoriello was like, yeah, we just need to make our payroll.
I just think, with Palmieri, here's the deal. It reminds me of Henrique. Now, Henrique gave us Vatanen, right? But the thing is, people loved him, and he actually really took on to the social media. And so he's extremely well liked. You know, it just is, and that's meaningful for long term. So I and if you're getting a pick, you never know. It could be an egg.
Yep.
You know what you got with him. He's a hard worker. I say no.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm just trying to spur conversation, think outside the box. If you're not going to trade Blake Coleman,
if they're going to give us, if Boss is going to give us Pasternak, fine.
Yeah.
And, they say that obviously jokingly, but it's
Or do you package him with Vatanen? Now we're talking. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
That's a blockbuster, and within the conference, I don't think that's going to happen.
And that's arguably not blowing up the team, but that's changing the whole make.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, you got to see what it yields, but
Yeah, but even though, as much as I love Coleman, but if you look at it, he was a third rounder, right? He was a third round pick, fourth round pick, whatever.
Yeah, but that to me is immaterial. It's what he is now.
Yeah, that's true. But I always like to look at how trades and deals evolve.
Yeah.
Just like Tom Curver's turned out to be Scott Niedermeyer.
That's why I don't look at what Coleman was as far as drafting. We got Andy Green and we got Brian Rafalski. They weren't even drafted.
That's right.
So look at those guys. So, I mean, I guess the bigger question is guys like Zaka and Wood. Do you deal them? They're young. I mean, that's big.
Well, I think you do. I think you do.
You gotta have a good
they've been here for a while.
I don't want to give him a Zaka yet, but Wood, I don't know. He's fast as hell, but he seems he can't control it or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, have the game.
Thank you.
Thank you for filling in.
Of course.
We had Pete the organist come on. We had a great time here at PJ Ryan's. Mm-hmm. This is the Woo Report. Enjoy the game, everybody. Let's go Devils.